Hi, my name is Elaine, and in today's video, I'll be running through some of the hidden costs associated with buying a house. So this is episode 2 of my hidden cost series, and this week I am looking at home buying, specifically home buying in Ireland. So this is going to be very relevant to any of my Irish viewers, possibly slightly relevant to some of my UK viewers, and I'm sorry if you're an American viewer. I'm just not aware of your market and I don't have knowledge of it yet. But as you know, I'm a homeowner for the past year or so, and when we were going to get our mortgage, in my head I thought, pay the solicitor, get my deposit, pay some insurance, and away I go. Well, let me tell you, there are far more costs than that associated with buying a house. So in today's video, I want to run through them. These are all of the costs that are associated with securing and paying for your mortgage. So there's lots of ongoing costs associated with owning a home, and I will hope to do videos on that in the future. But right now, this is mortgage related costs. And I'm going to split the video up into upfront costs and then into ongoing costs. And if I have any information or any extra info, it'll be in the description box below, and I'll also have time codes so you can skip ahead to the relevant parts. So first on the list is the housing loan application fee. So this is something that's not actually that common anymore, but it is obviously worth asking before you take out a mortgage with a bank. But basically this was a fee that mortgage lenders used to charge you in order to process your loan application. And usually if your loan application was accepted, they would refund the money to you. So it was basically just sort of an admin fee associated with, that lender going through all of the processes to see if you're suitable for a mortgage. Housing lenders don't currently charge this fee, but obviously depending on economic circumstances, this could change. However, there is one fee that can be charged when you're looking for a mortgage, which is some mortgage brokers will charge a fee rather than get paid by commission. So when they get paid by commission, you go to see them, you don't pay them anything, and basically once they have a mortgage secured for you, the bank or lending institution that you get the mortgage out with will pay the broker a fee for setting it up and for organising it and for getting them a customer. Other places will allow you to do a fixed rate fee that you would pay at the start or whatever way that they decide to do it. But they are obliged under rules and obligations to tell you of this. So it's not going to be a case of that you're at the very end and suddenly they say, hey, by the way, you owe us money. So it is something that will have to be mentioned to you before you even engage them in business and they start looking for you. However, it's something to be aware of, and it's something that it's worth asking if the particular institution you're working with charges that type of fee. The second thing then is a valuation report. So all lenders, which is your bank, building societies, whatever, they will ask for an independent valuation of the property price of your house. So they will have a panel of valuers, independent valuers, and they will get them to come look at the house and to make sure that the amount that you're planning to pay for the house is actually at the market value. Because basically when you take out a mortgage, the bank is handing you over money to the value of the property. So if they had to repossess the property because you didn't pay, they want to make sure that they're repossessing it and that they'll be able to get all of their money back and they won't be in debt because you didn't pay your mortgage back. As I said, this is carried out by a panel of experts, and you, the borrower, are the one that has to pay for this. The usual cost of this is between 150 and 250 euro. And what's good about this is that if the lender refuses you the loan, they have to pay you back this money. So that's something. Obviously, if you go ahead with the mortgage, it's non-refundable. The third thing then is a structural survey. So this is something that some lending institutions may require to be carried out. Usually if the valuation report has thrown up something that they need to further inspect, or if the house is really old. So I can't remember if we got one of these or not. I was trying to look through all the files and I just can't remember. However, we got our own structural survey carried out on the property before we moved in. And that's something that's really recommended to do, because if you think about it, you're putting a lot of money into this property. And if it turns out that the roof is shot or that there's damp or leaks or subsidence or loads of problems like that, you're the one that's going to have to pay for it after the mortgage goes through and you are the legal owner of the property. So it's really good to get somebody in to look at a property, particularly if it's secondhand and particularly if it's old. Our property is 70 years old, so for us the things we were looking out for was to make sure that the roof was in good quality. There's a little conservatory extension at the back, make sure that that was built correctly, and then also to make sure that there's no damp or dry rot or any issues like rising damp that would cause us a headache in the future. So the typical cost of this will vary depending on the property, but also vary on how serious the issue may be, if you need to get a structural engineer in or if you can get it done by somebody else. Average cost of this is about €350 plus VAT. So you might be looking at 400 odd for this. The next thing then is stamp duty. So this is payable by anyone who's purchasing a property. So a couple of years ago, they abolished stamp duty for first-time buyers. However, that no longer applies. Everyone has to pay for it. And stamp duty is charged at a percentage of the purchase price of your house. So just say your house is €200,000 and that's what you buy it for. You have to pay 1% of that in stamp duty. So that would work out as €2,000. Basically, any properties that are valued up to €1 million are paid at 1%. And then if your property is over that, just say your property is worth 1.5 million. The stamp duty on 1 million is charged at 1%. And then on the other 500,000, it is charged at 2%. So that's not something I'm going to be worrying about, and probably most people watching this won't be worrying about, but it's just something to note if you come into money or you're buying a huge house. The fifth thing then is solicitor's fees. So when you're buying a house, you need to engage the services of a solicitor. So the solicitor covers all the legal stuff, like getting the title put into your name. I mean, I'm sure you could do it on your own, but number one, why would you bother? And number two, it's so important. Like, this is the biggest purchase that you're going to make, that you need to make sure that it is done legally 100% correctly. So solicitor fees vary across the board. There's different ways that they will calculate it. Sometimes it's a percentage of the purchase price of the property, so it might be 1%. Other times they will charge a flat fee. You can be as lucky to get, you can get something as little as €700 plus VAT, but it could cost you as much as €1,600 plus VAT. So it's really worth shopping around. However, on top of this, there's also legal outlay. So there's associated legal costs that come with buying your house. This is not included in your solicitor's fees, and you're expected to pay this as well. So first off, your solicitor has to register your property under your name in the land registry. So this cost varies depending on the purchase price of your house. So it could be anywhere from €400 to €800. Then there's also a mortgage fee, which is registering your bank's interest in the property, which currently costs €175. And obviously, if you're a cash buyer, this doesn't apply. And then your solicitor may have to carry out a number of searches to ensure that the property is okay to buy, such as maybe a planning search. And these searches can cost anywhere between €100 and €200. And then, if I remember correctly, there's also one or two smaller fees, which cost around €40, €44. So you pay your solicitor all of these on top of their fee for doing their work. So I've kind of calculated that maybe the average amount on a €200,000 house would be about maybe in or around €1,000. That's what you'd sort of budget for. And then this is paid to your solicitor on top of the fees. So if your fees cost €1,500 and you have to pay this €1,000 on top, you're paying your solicitor €2,500. You're also paying them the stamp duty as well. And the seventh thing is auctioneer's fees. So this will only apply if you're in a chain. What I mean by a chain is that if you already own a property and you're buying a new property, you will have to pay the auctioneer to sell your old property, but you won't have to pay an auctioneer to buy a new property. So when I dealt with the auctioneer, I didn't have to pay anything. However, the seller had to pay the auctioneer a fee in order to cover the cost of the auctioneer selling the house to me. So usually this costs it tends to be a percentage of the value of your home. So obviously for auctioneers, if they have a more expensive house, it's more lucrative for them. So it could be between 1% and 1.75% plus VAT. And that's the cost of the retail or the sale price. And then on top of that, you may also have to pay advertising costs. So if they, paid to put it on a website or put it up on online or anything like that, or printed out brochures. And then the eighth thing, which is probably one of the most important things, and it's probably something that you already know about, which is why I left it to the end, which is the deposit. So in Ireland, if you are a first-time buyer, which is what me and Ronan were, so we've never ever owned a property before, you have to pay 10% of the cost of your home in a deposit to the bank. So the bank will give you a mortgage up to 90% of the cost of your home. So for instance, €200,000 house, you have to make sure that you have €20,000 to pay towards that house. And then the bank will give you a mortgage for €180,000. So you'll be paying off €180,000. Then obviously if you're a second, third, fourth time buyer, and you've owned property before, it is charged at 20%. Also, if I had owned property before and Ronan hadn't, that would class us as second time buyers. and we would have to pay 20%. For instance, a €200,000 house, you would need to put forward €40,000 towards the cost of the house, which would mean that the loan that you have with the bank would be €160,000. So the loan would be reduced, but obviously you'd have to put more in upfront. So now if you tot up all of those totals, so we're looking at a valuation report, I decided to go for the midpoint of the estimates for this. So if you're looking at the valuation report, estimated about €200, your survey €160 plus VAT, which is €430, stamp duty at 1%, which is 2,000, solicitors fees, 1,250 plus VAT, about 500-ish. Then your legal outlay, estimated cost of about €1,000, and then your deposit of €20,000. So this is an example of a €200,000 house, and what you really need to have before you even buy the house is 25,130. So that's something to consider before you purchase your property. It's not something I had considered. I kind of had in my head that we'd need about $5,000 extra, but I had no idea why or what that was for. It was just something that was in my brain. However, we kind of erred on the side of caution and had more than that. So my recommendation would be to try and have €10,000 extra. I know that sounds like a crazy amount of money, but you won't use it all. However, if you have that overestimation of €10,000, that means then that if things cost that tiny bit more, it won't stress you out. And also it's kind of like a savings scheme, because just say all your fees and everything and your stamp duty come to, I don't know, 8,000, because you have a much more expensive house than this example. Just say they come to 8,000. You still have that 2,000 left, which you can put into furniture. You can go mad in IKEA, you can get paint, all those little extra things that you need to pay for. Even just the first month or two of your mortgage. I just think it's better to overestimate than underestimate it, particularly when it comes to buying a house. And don't just have your deposit saved, because it doesn't go that far. You need more money. Now it's time for the ongoing costs and the costs of sort of having a mortgage and monthly repayments. So calculating the cost of your monthly repayments over the entire lifetime of your loan is quite difficult, because it's influenced by a number of factors. So what I do when I'm kind of assessing, can we afford this for the next month or the next while, is I kind of go maybe in 12-month cycles. I sit down around July, because July is when we moved in, so that's kind of when we started all of our contracts with our utility bills and things. And I just try to see, like, if our mortgage stays the same over the next 12 months, can we afford it? If our mortgage goes up by 1% over the next 12 months, can we afford it? And you just keep that in mind, and at least then you can make a decision on whether you might fix your amount for a while, or whether you might, stay on a variable interest rate or whatever. And I will do a video on fixed and variable interest rates, because there's a lot about it and people are always confused as to which one they should go with. The one that I have is variable, because at the moment our mortgage repayments are quite low in comparison to what our rent was. So we can allow for market fluctuation, and I just like the freedom of knowing that if interest rates go down, we can benefit from it. We may fix it in the future, but right now we're pretty happy with leaving it as a variable rate. But when you're trying to calculate how much your mortgage is going to cost over the duration of, we say 12 months or whatever, so many things. It's not a case of, looking at your mortgage, say your mortgage, you got a 2.5% mortgage. So you add 2.5% to the cost of your house, 20,000, and then you divide that by the term of your mortgage, 25 years, and then you divide that by 12, and that's your monthly repayment. It doesn't work that way, because it's influenced by how often interest is charged, which your bank decides, the term of your mortgage, obviously if you're variable or fixed, the interest rate fluctuations in the market. There's so many things that go into it. So I suppose the best thing you could do is talk to your bank and talk to them and see kind of like, what would my mortgage repayments be for the next 12 months or so, and try and talk to them about that. So for this example, I'm just going to say that you're on a 200 grand mortgage and your repayments are €800 a month. So that's just as an example as I go through these figures. On top of that, you also need to pay 2 types of insurance at a minimum. So the first is that you need to have mortgage protection insurance. And this means that the cost of the mortgage will be paid off if one person, or if you're a single applicant, if you die. So this insures the bank and allows that the bank will get the cost of their money back. So the cost of it depends on your age, your lifestyle factors, long-term illnesses, etc. But it's usually in around €20 or €30 a month. So that's paid in on top of your mortgage. Secondly, then you have to get household insurance. So this is, for household insurance, you're insuring the cost of the capital. So you're insuring the property itself. You're not insuring the contents like your camera or your bed or whatever. You're insuring anything like the fixtures and fittings, things that basically, if your house burned to the ground and you had to build your house back up, the cost of that. So oftentimes it's actually lower than the cost that you paid for the house, because the cost of rebuilding depends on the cost of materials and, you know, all different factors. So oftentimes it's lower, but you need to make sure that you've insured for the correct amount. And I think they also link it, they index it. So they link it to an index like literally for shopping, you'd have like a consumer price index. They link it to like a building index, so that as the cost of building goes up or the cost of building goes down, your insurance will change to reflect that. So the average cost of this is usually maybe around €300 a year. So that might work out as about €25 a month. And then finally, property tax. So this is something that you have to pay every year to revenue. The cost of this is based on the market value of your house. However, it's actually at the moment based on the market value of your house in 2013. So for most people, they are paying something a hell of a lot lower than the cost of that they paid for their house if they bought a new house, because the cost of houses has gone up between 2013 and now. It was due to be re-evaluated in 2016, and then the government pushed it out to 2019, and then they pushed it out to 2020. So now basically your present property tax bill will stay the same as it currently is until early 2021 at the moment. And the percentage that you pay is based on the cost of the property. So for example, if just say it was revalued tomorrow and your house cost you €200,000, you would be expecting to pay around €315 a year. And I do think there's a way that you can pay it over monthly. So like monthly might be like 26-ish euro a year. So when you add all those up, so you look at your mortgage, €800, your mortgage protection, 25, house insurance, 25, property tax, 26, 25. The actual monthly total that you're paying in order to keep your mortgage going is €876.25. So again, you might be paying an extra €70 to €100 on top of your mortgage repayments in order to keep your mortgage going. But that's it. So that is the end of today's video. If I've left anything out, please let me know in the comments. These are all of the things that I came up against. There may be extras that I don't know about, and possibly if you're buying in a different way, like mine wasn't done like on an auction or anything like that. It was pretty much on the market. I went to an auctioneer. We said we want that house. We bid on the house. We bid against other people. We knocked them out. We got the house. We paid the deposit, so on and so forth. And now we own the property. But yeah, I'm really enjoying doing this hidden cost series. I am going to do one about the ongoing costs of maintaining a house. Also going to do one about cars. This is not something I have knowledge in. However, my boyfriend loves cars and has one. So I'm going to do that. And if there's anything else that you want me to do a hidden cost series on, please let me know in the comments below. And that's it. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, please click the subscribe button wherever it is. And you can follow me on all of my social media links. And I'll be back with another video in 1/2 Sundays time. Thanks for watching.